Folks, welcome back to Canada's Boxing Channel. It's February the 6th, at least I think it is, though I had to double check to make sure it wasn't April the 1st, because the news today is frankly bizarre. And then both bits of news concern Saul Canelo Alvarez. The first, which I think was reported yesterday or possibly the day before, suggests that the proposed super fight with Terence Bud Crawford is off. But what appears to be on, and reported on several outlets, is that Canelo is considering fighting none other than Jake the Problem Child Paul. In any other era, you would say, this is just nuts. This is somebody having a complete and utter wind-up. But we live in interesting times, I suppose. I would say, at first blush, that this fight makes no sense whatsoever from a boxing perspective. Jake Paul would surely have as much chance against Canelo as I would. In other words, zero. Though, of course, it's all about money, or as the young folks say, all about the bag. Eddie Hearn, the chairman of Matchroom, has been talking about them splitting something like a $200 million purse. So, I mean, $100 million for what could be 30 seconds work for Canelo would be, to say it would be easy money would be the understatement of the century. Let's try and take this seriously. Let's look at this as we would any other fight and see what we think. So, excuse me. So Canelo, he's got 62 wins, 2 losses and 2 draws. His only losses are against Bivol and Floyd Mayweather. He's presently the WBC and WBO super middleweight champion, so he owns the 168-pound division, really. He's 5'7.5", he's got a 70.5-inch reach, and he born, raised, and boxes out of Guadalajara in Mexico. Jake Paul, on the other hand, and I'm trying to be serious. I mean, Jake Paul has 12 fights, one of which he lost against Tommy Fishfingers Fury. He's 6'1", and he's got a 76-inch reach. He's an American, and he lives and boxes out of Puerto Rico. He's about 5 years younger, I think, than Canelo, and he's a bigger man. He most recently boxed at heavyweight against Mike Tyson, who he beat. That's such a weird thing to say. Okay. Anyhow, moving on. According to what I read on the UK press and what Eddie Hearn has been saying, is that Canelo might drop down to, say, 185, and so he would then fight Canelo at some catch weight. Okay, the betting odds would have to be prohibitive. There's no way that you could put a bet on, unless Canelo has some sort of seizure as he's stepping into the ring. There's no way on earth Jake Paul could seriously be thought of as having the skills or the horsepower or anything to beat Canelo. What kind of bet would you have? How many minutes Canelo allows the fight to go on? I don't know. What would Canelo's game plan be? Okay, he's got a much longer reach. He's a much bigger man. I doubt very much he's ever been able to even spar with somebody who would be able to give him anything like the experience that he will have if he steps into the ring with Canelo. I mean, Canelo's going to be throwing combination punches, the like of which Jake Paul will never have experienced. And I would imagine that unless Canelo allows Jake Paul to hit him, that Jake Paul is simply going to miss whenever he throws anything and be peppered with punches in return. Now, I did say unless Canelo lets him. So, my own personal opinion, even though Mike Tyson, I think it was 58 when they fought, My own personal view is that Mike Tyson didn't try. I don't know. I mean, can anybody watching this video say in the comments section that there's any way that Jake Paul would be able to land any meaningful blow on Canelo? I just don't see it. It's all about the money. It has to be. Could I blame these guys for taking this massive paycheck? Well, I suppose not really. Canelo doesn't have anything to prove. He could retire today, and he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the greatest of this era. He's been boxing for 19, 20 years. I think he turned pro in 2005, so this is the 20th year. He's got nobody left to fight in his division. The Crawford fight that was being talked about was, again, a gimmick fight, if you like. So if you're going to have a gimmick fight, why not have a gimmick fight for zero risk and a huge payday? I suppose that's the only thing I can think of. Now, from Jake Paul's perspective, well, there's actually no downside. He's would people consider him a journeyman boxer? He's the only boxer he's actually fought, besides retired Mike Tyson, was Tommy Fury, and Tommy Fury is no great shakes. What can you say? Like, sure, I'll step in the ring with Canelo Alvarez for $100 million. I mean, you have to take my hat off to Jake Paul, because no matter what we think about him as a boxer, as a pugilist, he's actually a wickedly smart guy. He's marketed himself in a way that few other people have been able to do so. He's made a shed load of money, and he's got the whole world talking about him, including a retired guy in northern Canada. So hats off to him from as an entrepreneurial businessman who's made the absolute most amount of money he could make out of whatever talents he's gotten. Then he's a triple plus. But it's the most ridiculous type of fight, surely. I certainly won't watch it on pay-per-view. Like, if I have to pay a dime to watch it, I won't, because I can't see it being anything other than a circus. If it's on Netflix, sure, I'll watch it. And yes, I'll watch it on YouTube the next day after the fight, and I'll probably speak about it here. But please, let me know what you think. Is there any silver lining to this other than the enrichment of both fighters? I suppose, actually, as I'm asking this question, I suppose you could say that it will shine a light on the sport of boxing, and just like the Mike Tyson-Jake Paul fight did, you will get more eyeballs on the sport than you would otherwise have. The question is, does this shine the right kind of light on boxing? Do the millions, I suppose, do the millions of people who will tune in to this type of fight, do they walk away thinking, yeah, that's what boxing's all about? And in fact, we all know that that's not what boxing's all about. You know, one would sort of shed a metaphorical tear to think that, you know, more people will watch this kind of thing than would watch Bivol Beterbiev or Kabayel Zhang. I mean, anyways, I'm just going to end up repeating myself, and you can see that I'm sort of trying not to laugh because it sounds so patently stupid until one realizes that there's an immense amount of money at stake here. Please let me know what you think. If you think that there's some sort of silver lining that I've not picked up on, please let me know. And if it is actually April the 1st, just forgive me for being cognitively challenged. Thanks very much. Have an awesome day. Bye-bye.